So I rearranged in here, tried to like fix it up. I just put my old shit back up because
it looks better.
It looks better, right?
Better. Yeah,
yeah.
It like, I mean, I don't know if it looks better like in person, but it transfers more to the little box that you are right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that it was it felt kind of manufactured, you know, what the original one I put up.
It was like when Wayne's World got that big hit and they moved the set.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was like. So yeah, until I can afford to like make it look whatever. I realize it doesn't really fucking matter.
No.
It really doesn't.
Not really.
You know?
About the words, man.
That's right. So I'm going to use some stuff from the last episode we did. I don't even know when that was, a few days ago. I got to fix my camera too. I'm in a weird angle here. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But I'm going to put them in black and white, like, you know?
Yeah.
We're going to like Jim Jarmusch this shit. Because there was some good shit in there and I don't want to lose it, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And there was nothing like, you know, nothing to be deleted kind of thing. And that's what this episode was essentially, is like just talk about whatever and not get into the, you know, the political things or the touchy subjects.
And you can see how we were rewarded though by God. He said, "Oh, you don't want to delete this? You're going to talk nice," and then he fucked it up.
Yeah, he did. But like I said, it's really weird. So, you know, we were having some technical issues because I have this new setup here, the Wi-Fi. I don't know if it's as good as my house. Whatever. I was frozen a lot, and so were you. But on playback, with the exception of like maybe a minute, not even a minute, 10 seconds here or there, where like you kind of sound like a robot, it was totally fine. It was totally fine. So we're gonna salvage some of that. And
kids would probably hear that and think I was like in the Illuminati. They'd think I was actually an AI.
What's up?
Is this fucked?
So I think you have your orientation locked.
How do you do that?
It's either the switch.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that works. So this is all brand new to me, man. Like I feel like I almost feel like I'm starting over. Like I didn't even know how to.
Yeah, you're not in the garage.
Yeah, it took me a minute to like send the invite. Like I don't even know.
Yeah.
Where I'm at here, but yeah, I'm in a like room. This is like there's walls, insulation, but I haven't like sorted everything out yet. I just put this shit together, and I was like crossing my fingers about the Wi-Fi. I'm glad the Wi-Fi is working. So far so good.
Yeah. I feel that. I mean, you remember doing podcasts with me when I was out in the woods?
Yeah.
And it was I'd like freeze every couple seconds and stuff.
Yeah, you would be frozen for like 10 minutes or something. I was like, oh, this is awesome, man. You know, I don't know if I have my camera angle worked out. Yeah, I'm worried about every fucking aspect, if you can't tell. So what's new, man?
Let's see. My baby's getting big.
Yeah, man.
That sort of seems to be sort of like a sundial of progress of time or something.
How long has it been?
Well, shit, at this point, she was born August 30th. So
okay.
Almost 3 months.
Right.
In about, I think, 15 days or something. It's
right.
15 days. She's 3 months.
No, she's
which so is cute. Weird because thank you. Well, 3 months is like not a long time, but when you are witnessing like a baby grow up and change, it feels like such a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like in 3 months, you're not gonna like all of a sudden I'm not gonna look at Mike and be like, wow, he got like he can move his arms better. It's like you know,
you never know.
You're done. Yeah. Who knows, man?
Oh, look at him walk. Like, he can walk so good.
Yeah, look at him making different noises and stuff. There's just not like a clear like defining moment of like time passing once you're into like adulthood. you know, the days can kind of feel like they just, you know, blend into each other. And most commonly people these days are saying like you know, they'll be telling a story and they'll be like, yeah, the other day, I mean, that was like 4 months ago. You know, people's time is just so fast lately. It
Yeah.
seems, I don't know what that is, like why that's like a kind of like a cultural like sickness or phenomenon. But for me, the time is very marked by the baby, because it's like I still, for me, I'm like, oh my God, you're pregnant. And then all of a sudden, like, whoa, like she can like sit up. It's like,
Right.
what the hell's going on? And then, you know, even just you think forward to like, so from my timeline, I can say, okay, my record comes out in March, right? And then
Yeah.
Jesus, like, then I have a 7 month old.
Yeah.
But for me, that's just like, oh, record's coming out in a few months. But then all of a sudden, then it's the 7 month old, and then you're thinking, oh, she's going to be walking in a couple months, and then she's a year, and then, you know, then you have like a real baby, and then once they're a year, they might as well be 5,
Right.
and then they're a teenager, and then all of a sudden, you know, I have like lung cancer. It's
Right.
just like, I don't know. You start to get hyper aware of like just mortality and things like that when you have a kid. I mean, I think I was laying there last night and thinking like, okay, so I'm 14 years older than my wife. So I'm like, shit, like she'll be like 46 and I'll be 60. And then, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
56, I'll be 70. And then I'm trying to think of like, okay, so like what's probably my average lifespan based on my lifestyle? I'm thinking maybe around 80,
Mhm.
you know? And then I'm like, well, how old is my kid gonna be? You know, and I'm just like, I don't have that much time. Like I gotta do this stuff. And um you asked me what was new, and I just gave you some
No, no. You know
insane.
what? That's actually a great way to start it out, because I have been thinking about time a lot lately. It's like people say when, you know, you get older, time goes so much faster. And is it just because you're getting older? No. Well, I think that it's because you now have more of a concept of time as to
Mm-hmm.
when you were younger. When you were younger, let's say you're 7 years old, you only know 7 years of lifespan, right?
Yeah.
So now in my early 40s, I know 40 something years. And yeah, you know, it's weird because a day will go so slow sometimes. Like today was slow. I mean, I was busy
Mm-hmm.
doing stuff, but the day went slow. But then before you know it, it's fucking March. Like I was just handing out Halloween candy, and now next week's Thanksgiving. And it's like, what the fuck happened over the past month? Like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even tell you a key moment over the past month that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I was really busy at that point. That's why it went so fast. It's just been
Yeah.
regular days that are going slow, yet the time's going really fucking fast. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was actually thinking that when I was watching this like show called like World's Most Dangerous Prisons or something.
Mhm.
And when I was younger, I'd hear some guys say like, oh, I got like 6 years or something. And I thought, oh no. But now if someone said you have 6 years, like if I didn't have a wife and a baby, I'd be like, oh, that'll go by like that.
Right.
Because like it would, you know. And I think that that's just how that shit is. And that shit fucking snuck by me so wickedly that a few days ago I was thinking what would be funny to do for Halloween.
Right.
And I was like 2 weeks ago. Like it's like shit goes by so quick that yeah, it like literally I'm just
Yeah.
hanging out and then it's like it just fucking passes right by me. And like, I mean, what, like tomorrow's fucking Christmas pretty much, you know? And
Yeah.
then what, New Year's? It's like, that's the weird thing about the way that we sort of like broken things down,
Mhm.
like in like, you know, societal levels or cultural or just like humans like following sort of like seasons and things like that, and then like having markers of like, you know, holidays or ceremonial things or whatever. It's that it's that's the bizarre thing, is that like once Halloween comes, you're sort of geared for New Year's. It's like there's this whole kind of, you know, weird, everyone, like the music industry goes quiet, everyone's a little more cozy, and then it's New Year and you're like, all right, it's another year.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then it's fucking spring. And then once it's spring, everyone's like, oh man, summer's coming.
Right.
You know? And then all of a
Yes.
sudden summer's over and they're like, well, cool, like Halloween's coming, all this stuff. And it's, we really have this like fast loop. And I think that that's like probably why like a bunch of, you know, great thinkers and stuff, they put so much importance on like, you know, like Ram Dass, be here now, because I think that we don't appreciate the real danger or like power of our own brain, and we don't even know when we're disassociating. So if you're just kind of thinking like, oh man, like I got this thing coming up, like you're really not living. You're living there already, and you're not really present of what the hell's even happening. So if that's true, then of course, if you know, future trip or future fucking, you think about something in the future, you're essentially living it. So you're time traveling in your brain.
Right.
And it'd be very interesting, which scares the fuck out of me, is to just be like, because even doing this podcast, I'm like, okay, what do I do when it's done? I gotta do this, and like what, like I'm thinking about like Saturday because I'm going to some thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm already there right now.
People,
and it'd be interesting to just sit and go, I'm here right now.
yeah, no, that's exactly it. People don't live in the moment.
No.
You know, you're like you just said, you're doing something, right? Whether it's this podcast or you're even watching a TV show or something, and you're thinking about tomorrow or 3 months from now. You're not fully engaged in the time that you're in. And, you know, it's corny to say, but, you know, tomorrow's not promised. So it's like, you know, why think ahead? And it was a good point you brought up before about prison. Okay. So like, is, you know, in the real regular world, there's a concept of time at all times. There's a clock right on our phone as soon as you take it out of your pocket. There's normally a clock up on your wall. No matter where you are, you're seeing time somewhere. In prison, I don't really think that's the case. I mean, I've never been to prison. Maybe there's a clock on the wall. I don't know, but you're not looking at time. Like season. If you, let's say you're doing 6 years, like you were saying, seasons go by without you even really knowing. You know, all this time goes by without you even being part of it. In a way, it's almost like you're stuck in this time capsule in a way where, you know, you're still moving with time, but you're just existing in a cube. Right. I mean, yeah. You know,
I mean, I think that's why they used to write on the walls,
right,
to track time. Because I'm curious if you are not, because I know that in cells they don't have clocks or anything like that, and there's like jarring times, like they'll give you breakfast at like 4 a.m. You know what I mean? And they just kind of discombobulate your ass. And I don't even know if in like the main pod, if there's a clock. I mean, maybe in like some, but I think in a lot of them, there's not. Like your knowledge of time is when the doors open and close and stuff. And I wonder if you don't have like a concrete idea of time, I wonder if that makes it go slower. It probably does. I mean, that's probably part of the torment. Although the opposing argument of that is, do you remember being in like class and you sit and you look at the clock? If you look at the clock, it's like it takes so fucking long that if you just do your work and just are existent and present, you're like, oh, that went by so quick. Right. So that's arguable, you know, and we love talking about microwaves, but have you ever like put like something in for like a minute and you watch the minute?
Yeah.
It's like the longest minute of your fucking life.
Absolutely.
But if you put it on and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go take a piss or go over here, it's like beep. You're like, that was like 10 seconds.
Right. Right.
It's
weird.
It's
absolutely true. Same thing with like boiling water. You know, you put the pot on the stove, and not that you sit there and watch it boil, but you know, you hang around the area and you're like, why isn't this fucking thing, you know, boiling yet?
I did that last night. I made pasta, you know, like what is it, like rotini or rotelli?
Yeah.
The
Like
little spirals.
yeah, I think it's rotelli.
I forget too.
Yeah.
Rotelli.
What kind
Yeah,
of
I
Italians are
made
we?
beautiful pasta with like, I know it's, yeah, I'm kind of like, but I think, being like actually like a modern Italian, like living with my father, it was like he'd order like pizza and get like meatball subs. Like he's not like, that's more of like a grandma thing, is the whole pasta thing, I think. It's
Right.
sort of like modern male Italians. I don't think they're like connoisseurs of pasta. I mean, I'm just making myself feel better, but I made a beautiful pasta. I made like the sauce and like some meatballs and just a little special dinner. But I watched the water boil. It was my first mistake. I was driven close to madness. And then I stood there until the pasta was cooked.
Yeah.
So I was in there for about 9 hours, is what it felt like.
Right.
But the problem is if I fucking leave pasta, I come back and it's like, I fucked it up. It's mushy. I have to like
Right.
keep testing it. Okay, like so, but it was like, I don't know. Making that dinner last night was really fucking stressing me out because I was there for the whole thing, and I don't have like I have like a beautiful internal time clock for like cooking,
Mm.
but like cooking like meat and even baking bread or stuff like that. But for some reason, uh pasta, I can't I can't nail the time. Like I feel like a lot of like maybe older women or something, or maybe just like women in general, they can put the pasta in the water, go fucking do like a couple things, and they just walk back and it's done. They
Right.
know.
Right. It's all about timing. It's all
I
about
think you gotta,
the
what do
exact
they call that?
timing.
Well, I think so, man. I think that like all those things to think about, whether it's like cooking or watching a child grow up or being present in the moment, I think it's just like a severe acknowledgement of time. And I think that's like really beautiful. Like this morning, I just made Folgers. I don't know why. I was like, I just want like truck stop. Is that 7-Eleven coffee? Yeah,
7-Eleven
I love
coffee.
that.
One of my
Yeah,
favorites.
my wife would go get that for me sometimes. When she was pregnant, she had to drink decaf.
Mm.
So we didn't have decaf at the house for a while. She'd go get one of those. And anytime she brought me back a 7-Eleven coffee, I was like, I wish I could just buy this. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why is this so good? Maybe they sell it, but I'm not sure.
I don't think they do. I know, like, Dunkin' Donuts sells their stuff in the grocery stores, but I've
Yeah,
never
for
seen.
$12.
I think I think 7-Eleven's exclusive to set. Like, you got to go to a fucking 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool with the 7-Eleven by my house. This lady, she's like this tiny little lady. And I was in there one time, and this big homeless dude was like putting like donuts down his pants and shit, trying to steal. And she's like probably 5'2", and she hopped over the counter
No shit.
and like shoved me to the side and like chased him out.
Wow.
And she fucking loves me. I bet if I said, hey, like, give me one of the big silver bags of coffee in the back, I'm like, I'll pay you like $20 for one.
Yeah.
That'd
like
be cool.
Like bundled up like a key.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, just leave it in the dumpster. I'll get it in the middle of the
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I like these little boutique coffees that are really strong. Like, what is the other one? Black Rifle, I think.
Yeah.
Is another one. And what is it like? It's like 150 milligrams of caffeine. It's like they take it like as high as they can without,
right,
getting in danger of someone being sued or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to be, well, sometimes I do. I like to be, I don't want to be jittery, but I like that.
Oh, that's the worst, man.
I like that boost.
I had, my friend brought me over coffee from this place called Erewhon. It's like right by, it's like kind of by where she lives. It's like, it's almost like a joke grocery store because it's so expensive.
Right.
Like they have pre-bottled smoothies that are like $12. Last night I had a chicken pot pie from there. It was $14. It's just, it's like all these like celebrities go there. It's a completely obnoxious grocery store meant for, basically the Illuminati, motherfuckers. But she brought me a coffee from there, and I drank it, and I was like sweating and like just texting everyone really fast. And I was like, dude, this shit, it like made me fucking high, but
Yeah.
like in almost like a bad way.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, I felt like I was like, I gotta come down. I was like trying to like
Yeah.
drink water. I was like, I gotta come down. I'm too high. It was like triggering me. I felt like
Right.
I was having like a bad trip or something.
Yeah, it's like bar coke, like
I know.
something you buy, in the bathroom in a bar,
Dude, that's the worst. If you do that, you go do something like I remember doing that in Brooklyn all the time. You just go in the bathroom with some weird guy, and he's like, just puts it your nose, and then you go and you're sitting at the bar, and you're like,
yeah,
rocking back and forth, and you're like, holy shit, like what the fuck is going on? One time I did coke with this girl in Bushwick, and I don't know how this worked, and I've done drugs like this before, and they're so bizarre. Is that we did this blow, and we were like really high or whatever, but wasted, fell asleep, for like 8 hours, and the next day woke up and I felt high as fuck.
Really?
I was like, what? It was almost, but the reason that that's confusing is if you're super high, you can't go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why was I able to go to bed and then wake up and feel high?
Yeah.
And I think I was just so drunk that I just passed out, but I felt high off whatever that was until about midnight.
Yep.
And it's creepy.
It could be that, or I've had experiences like that before where I would be like doing the shit all night long. Like, and this is a long time ago, but
right.
doing it all night long. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling it, like I'm chasing it all night. And then, like, I'm tired. Why am I tired? You go to sleep, you wake up, and I feel like everything that was stuck in your head dripped out down your throat. And you're like, oh my God, now I'm fucking lit up, even sometimes taking a shower and like washing it down, I was a professional, dude. I had it all figured out.
I've definitely done that. Like woke up really stuffed up and hungover and took a shower and then like snorted and then got out of the shower and I'm like drying, looking in the mirror. I'm like, whoa, I'm fucking high.
Yeah.
It's a little uncomfortable because I never use drugs like that just as like a drug. Like it would have to be for me like a way to keep drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So like just to have like a fucking genuine raw cocaine high when you're sober in the morning is like not my vibe.
Mm-mm.
I don't think that's a lot of people's.
No. And it's funny because I never really was a drinker. So that was like my drug of choice. And that's all I would that's all I would do. And I'd be like nuts. I'd be nuts all the time.
Wow.
But to the point where like, nobody really knew. I don't think they did, at least. I adapted like to this new person kind of. It changed me as many drugs do.
You were just a weirdo. That's
it. Yeah. But I would be like, I'd be fucked up all the time. Like we'd go out to dinner and I'd go to the bathroom like 5,000 times. you know, I mean, I'm sure people assume things at that point, but like I either A, had to go do more, or B, blow my nose because it was fucking leaking out of my head, So
I definitely had
fun times
like that. There was one time, this was years ago, where I did cocaine I did it every day for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I'd start around like 2 p.m. because I'd wake up with like vodka and orange juice. I wasn't eating. And I was, I'd stay up till like 7 a.m. and I would just have these conversations with people. And I would be like, don't say anything. I can read your mind. Like I was starting to fucking turn into a complete lunatic, pulling knives on people and shit. Just like really like nuts. And it was, the only good thing about it is I wrote some really, really good poetry. That like I'll read back now and I'm like, well, that's fucking good. And I would do like games with words. I'd be like, wait, like the word they, if you move the letters around, you can do. I started to get like schizophrenic.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And it
if you,
was weird.
yeah, I mean, if you're lucky enough to be in that moment and take advantage of what you're doing in a way of creativity
Mhm.
or or anything like that, then you know you're ahead of the game because there's nothing else that you're going to get from it that's positive. It, you
No,
know what I mean? It never, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have some fun times, maybe some good memories, but in the end, you're just gonna have a, you know, deviated septum and um a whole lot of problems, health problems in the future, you know.
right.
The way I was
That's
doing it, you know.
one of the most disappointing things about cocaine is I remember I was on this porch and it was like morning and I was having a conversation with this guy and his girlfriend, and I was saying such profound stuff that they were like crying, you know,
Yeah.
and they were high too. And I was like, we really got to the bottom of this, man,
Mhm.
you know? And then like 8 hours later, when we woke up and it was like nighttime, I can like hear the girl puking in the bathroom. Um, and we all just ignored each other. It was almost like we were like ashamed of this like sham of a
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the time, I felt like dude, I could have been like a cult leader. Like they would have followed you. But
It's a very it's an intense drug because
mhm.
it's, at least for me, I felt normal. I was
Yeah,
able to drive a car. I was able to go out. I was able to be social. Um, but I was high as a fucking kite the whole time. But
yeah.
my motor skills were okay. At least I think they were. And
You don't
you
realize
know,
you were going like 90 miles an hour.
yeah, it's like Wolf of Wall Street, like when they do the Quaaludes.
Oh God.
You know, he thinks it's everything's good, but it's not.
You know the worst thing about, I remember when I stopped doing cocaine, the first like few days or maybe even like couple weeks, like I was so tired and so like depressed. If someone was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna call you on the phone. I want to talk for a second," I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't talk. Like I can't. I couldn't have a conversation. I didn't want to go anywhere because I felt like if I didn't have cocaine, I couldn't have a conversation. I couldn't leave the house,
Yeah,
and it was weird. It kind of programmed me
yeah,
to feel that way, and that's why I found it to be the most dangerous. Not because it's like illegal or expensive or it can fucking kill you or it's got fentanyl in it now.
mm,
It was because it set a new precedent for how I needed to feel. Otherwise, I couldn't operate normally. And that scared the shit out of me because I said, so what am I going to do? I just have to have cocaine all the fucking time. And it
yeah,
got that way, dude. I remember making fucking, what was it? I won't say what album, but making an album and like, I couldn't go to the studio unless I had cocaine. Like
yeah,
everything, I just had to have it. And I was like, Jesus, man. Um, but now it's nice to like not do that. Like, like I don't even drink right now. Like just to fucking try to really get to like the base, like the baseline of what you are. Just like, and granted, I have, you know, nicotine, caffeine, whatever, but to try to fucking just, I don't know. I mean, I guess like raw dogging reality, but it takes a while to fucking get your, you know, get your swagger back just
yeah,
completely clean. But the nice thing is that once you do, it's beautiful because I heard this guy talking about this the other day and like this like kind of program thing. Um, he was saying that how exhausting it was. Like, and you don't even think about that. Like, there's constant calculating, like, I got to do that there. I got to hide it. I got to get this. I need this. Put it there. Do this,
yep,
do this, do this. And you're constantly scheming and calculating. And then there's a moment when you go, like, oh shit, I can go do anything I want. I don't have to hide a bunch of beer in my bag. I don't have to have cocaine tucked up in my hat. I don't have to hide anything. I can just go do stuff
hmm,
and feel good. And that's like, that's probably the biggest reward besides having people not think you're a fucking lunatic, is just not having to fucking scheme and calculate all the time. It's like a
right,
full-time job, really.
right.
you know?
No, you know what? I relate to that 100%. That's exactly how it was for me. It wasn't the high I was chasing. It was this is how I'm functioning now.
Hmm.
I was chasing. Like I need it to be social or to be funny, and you really don't, but that's what you think. That drug is mind fuck. That's what it does.
Yeah.
It controls everything. You don't really realize it. It's different than anything else, I think.
Yeah.
Because you physically don't really need it. It's not your body's not like I need cocaine. It's not like heroin or alcohol. Your mind wants it.
Yeah.
And when your mind is set on it, you'll do anything to get it. I mean, there were times when I had like $100 left and I would buy cocaine with it. You know what I mean? And then because I just know I needed it. And for some reason, I thought that tomorrow would be a different day and it'd be better. But
Oh yeah. I would hate those weird schemes where like I've pulled off getting drugs with just like no money. I like call a kid, like some kid that like isn't that good a friend of mine, and I was like, dude, I'm getting this check tomorrow. It was fucking like I was like, we should hang out. I was like, you should get some blow, you know, and be like, yeah, get like 200 and like $200 or something, 300, like, and I'm getting this check, and when I get it, like, I don't know, man, like I'll give you like $500 because I'm getting a lot of money, and he'd be like, whoa, cool, and then get it, and then just never, you know, just like having to fucking manipulate people and like, and then
yeah,
like this one kid can't drive, so it's like we got to call some weird girl, like, hey, will you drive us to fucking
right,
like an hour away, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like you had to fucking set up some goddamn like Guy Ritchie heist
right,
just to fucking get the
right.
coke. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
When you
it's
could have
definitely
just stayed home, been
yeah,
normal.
that's it, man. And you know, it's definitely not. It's definitely one of the. I mean, yeah, if you have a connect, whatever. But even the connect is like you're sitting around waiting for them. You know, drug dealer time is different than regular time. So, like, yeah, I'll be over in an hour. You know, and then 5 hours later, you're like looking out the window, like, where the fuck is this asshole? You know.
I know.
Um.
Oh, the looking
So
out the
yeah,
window thing is fun.
you're literally wasting your time, like literally.
Yeah.
Just waiting for something that's gonna eventually not be good.
I forget his name. It was this comedian. God, what the fuck is his name? He's a big Italian comedian. He's really funny. Oh,
Uh,
Joey Diaz.
okay, yeah.
He was talking about that he had all this blow, and he was so high he kept looking out the window, and he thought that a fire hydrant like in the suburbs was a police dog,
Yeah.
and he fucking dumped all of his blow, and then like snuck around the back of the house and like crawled through the grass and realized it was a fire hydrant, and
Right.
then had to buy more coke.
Right.
Like, dude, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, man. It's a like they said on Chappelle's show, it's a hell of a drug. It really is. You know,
Keyword hell, dude.
I the only other thing I can compare it to is like narcotics, like prescription painkillers.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people like their entire life revolves around it, you know,
Yeah.
like they have to wait 30 days to get it. And it's like those 30 days, you know, they're done in 10 days with all the pills. And it's like, how am I going to fill up these next 20 days until I can get the fucking pills again? And it just becomes this like vicious cycle of it
Oh my
never
God.
ends. It never fucking ends, you know?
I knew some kids who there was this kid that dealt like pain pills,
mm,
and he had a kid that lived with him that was like his weird you know how like Dracula has that slave that like eats
yeah,
flies and shit.
yeah,
He had a kid with him that he was missing a leg from like shooting up,
yeah,
and he just had like crutches, and he'd crutch over and like hand him food, the drug dealer, and he was always so fucked up on these pain pills that he'd have him lay the plate on his chest, and if the plate wasn't warm, he'd be like, go heat it up more, like it's so he'd waddle back and heat up his plate of food and put it back, and he would just eat it, and it was like a fucking
yeah,
horror movie, these two
yeah.
guys.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
don't like that.
I mean, you know, at what point are you like, this isn't living? This isn't a life, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy shit.
yeah, I
It's
understand
like,
addiction, you know, but I don't think I ever wanted it to get to the point where it really fucked up my life, you know, like to the point
mhm,
where I couldn't function anymore or I had to lose a limb or whatever. You know, it's like,
yeah.
fuck, it's crazy, you know.
I was
There's
thinking about it like maybe this morning when I woke up, I was like, was reading, you know, like the big book, and I have a bunch of like literature on like sobriety and addiction and stuff. And I was thinking about just like, you know, there's all these reasons why, and it's like, you know, they say it goes back to like even when you're an infant, and it's like hereditary and yada yada. And I just think that it's really simple to me. I was like, life is pretty frightening. It's frightening when you're a baby, you're crying, you're like, I need help, like help me, feed me. And then it's frightening when you're in like middle school, elementary school, there's kids picking on you, then you have to drive a car and there's car accidents and there's just like risk all the time and risk of failure. And then the only thing that you're sure of is that you're going to die, and that's everyone's greatest fear. You don't know what happens when you die. You have to deal with like relationships, romantic or just friendships, people leaving, people dying, and life is so fucking insane. And then to realize that there are chemicals, you know, alcohol and drugs that completely make everything all right.
Mhm.
It's almost profound that there's not more people just drunk on drugs all day. To me,
right, right.
I'm like, well, if you could say, because I was thinking about it, I said, well, like, I'm afraid to perform, right? I don't like flying. I don't like elevators. I don't like riding in a car on the freeway.
Hmm.
Like life really makes me anxious.
Hmm.
So then when I say, well, if I drink like 10 beers, I can be in the worst turbulence ever and think that it's funny. You know, I
Right,
can get on stage and be the cockiest motherfucker. I'll drive a car down the freeway when I'm drunk.
right,
So to say that there's a thing that cures every bad feeling and fear, it's really remarkable to not do it.
right.
And I think the biggest work for people is to try to like, you know, face life completely clean. It's like, not only is it like noble, but it's like fucking insane to
Yeah,
me. And that's probably why I'm like an alcoholic, because I feel like a lot of people would be like, I don't know what you mean. Like life's just life. And I'm like, no, it's horrifying, you know,
yeah, yeah. No, I
but I
know.
think that's it, man.
I know. You know that. Well, two things. So there's a replacement for that. There's pharmaceuticals. There's Xanax.
Yeah.
There's things like that. But people tend to abuse them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like you can take a half a Xanax a day and probably alleviate a lot of your issues, and probably not develop a. I mean, you'll develop a tolerance, but maybe not develop like a problem, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then there's also the other side of it. It's like, yeah, there's people who just haven't touched the drug in their life.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to relate to those people because I just don't understand it. I don't understand why you wouldn't at least try it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's nothing better than being completely sober. I think
Yeah.
that like there's no better feeling once you get all the shit out of your system and like you start getting into like a schedule of whatever you do during the day. You feel good, and you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
When you're doing drugs, all you're thinking about is how shit are you going to feel when you're not on it,
Yeah.
right?
It's so tough. It really is. You go,
Yeah,
yeah, even if I remember when I'd be sitting that night, like wasted, you know, I would be, okay, I have, you know, 6 beers left for like when I wake up, and then I got to go get more. And
yeah,
it just was like, holy shit. Yeah, it is beautiful to not have to fucking think about it like ever. Just like, I mean, I remember my poor wife, whenever we go do anything, I'd be like, we'd be walking and be like, oh, do you have my little bottle of whiskey in your purse? And she'd be like, yeah, I got it. You know, just like
yeah,
having to, almost like it was like my inhaler, you know, and I had
yeah,
asthma. but it was like this like self-imposed fucking dependence on something. And but the reason is that my brain's so fucked up is, to me, I would view sobriety as like going out in the winter like without a jacket on. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, well, I could do it, but like I'm gonna be freezing, you know, and like why wouldn't I be warm and comfortable? But you got to realize that that's your disease talking, like, because, you know, I'm not gonna like like, for example, this really bizarre thing that why alcohol is so like cunning and baffling, they say, is that for me, I think, oh, if I have to fly to Germany, I got to get wasted because that's a long flight and that's like you're flying over water and oh my God. And I've seen so many plane crash movies and holy fuck. But I think if I'm drunk, like it'll be okay. But like, why is me drunk changing the destiny of how that flight's going to go? It's not.
Right.
It's like, well, I'm drunk, so we're going to be fine. If I'm sober, though, it's definitely going to crash.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to fucking happen. And it has nothing to do with me. And I think I heard something really interesting, is that that type of thinking is you assuming that you know better than God. Like you are controlling the narrative. And it's like, no, man, like fucking good things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. And you just want to like not be there for any of it. You just want to be fucking drunk. Like, is that like, it's a little bit maybe kind of pathetic, you know, like everything's scary, because everything's scary you have to be drunk for. But the problem is that a lot of beautiful things are scary. You know, watching your child be born is beautiful and scary. Performing on television is beautiful and scary. So if you're drunk for those things, you missed them. Right. You know, sometimes feeling fear is beautiful.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? I don't think it's pathetic. I think with it comes with the territory, this feeling of almost invincibility. Like when, you know, especially when I was younger, when I was doing all kinds of shit, you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to live forever. You know, I feel like I'm on top of the fucking world. But it's a security blanket. It's a security blanket. No matter what's going to happen, let's say the plane is going to crash, no matter what you do, you'd rather be high, right? I think. I don't know. I mean, the world is a scary place, and that's why we turn to these things for comfort. You know, some people get addicted to food. Some people get addicted to TV. You know, whatever makes them feel comfortable. You know.
Yeah, that's the problem, man. Is that a lot of it, even if you cut out the bad shit, there's so much other shit you have to work through. Like, I think it was Bill W. who wrote the Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a great documentary about him. You should check it out. He was like a weird dude, beautiful thinker. But he was talking about this thing about how, like, you know, he's been sober for so long, but then he was talking about emotional sobriety. And that applies to like everyone, even people who've never drank or done drugs could get something out of that. Just like realizing that like people will leave, like you can't control everything, like all this kind of stuff that I think that a lot of addicts like can't deal with that. But that's like really crazy to hear the dude who created that program, even in his like, you know, 40 years of being sober, or 20 years, whatever, he's like, this is the real fucking sober, is like some shit that has nothing to do with chemicals or alcohol. And I thought, oh no, like that's, in a way that's almost hopeful, but also kind of scary, because you just think, oh, I just won't drink or do cocaine and I'm good. And it's like, no, now you have to really get real.
You have to rewire yourself.
Right.
You really do. You know, I always use the computer analogy. Like if the hard drive's all fucked up, you got to fix it, you know, like you got to take it apart and put it back together, whatever you got to do. I don't know anything about computers really, but I always use that. Cause I use wire literally, like, you know, without the hard drive running, spinning, it doesn't work. But no,
I mean, I heard someone say that you just have to create new memories. Like for example, like, let's say, like every time you've had sex, you were drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you have sex one time sober, you're like, whoa, that's fucking, obviously it's awesome, but it's like scary or something. But the more you do it sober, the more that's your reference, that's your memory. Because if your only memory of doing something is when drunk, of course doing it sober is going to be terrifying. But let's say you do something sober 100 times, by 101 you're going to be like, oh, okay, like I can do this. I'm not just doing this sober, I'm doing this. And then you can say, well, I used to do it drunk. That's not the norm. And I think that's why it takes time, because I can remember, I mean, now I'm like, I don't know when I could play a show. You know what I mean? I'm like, that seems so terrifying. But I think back doing Lollapalooza and I was sober. But the reason I was able to do that is because I was sober for a year and a half. You know, so I played 30 shows just fucking shaking, like I don't want to go on stage, you know. But then after a while, creating new memories, reprogramming, rewiring, like you're saying, it began to feel more normal. And that's a drag, because you think you want like instant results, you know. You don't want to go be fucking terrified for a year until you feel normal. But fuck, dude, I mean, there's no, the only other option is to just, you know, do what you're trying to not do. So
you know, time heals everything. That's it. It takes time. It really does. Like you can't like you can drink for 3 years, quit, and you're gonna feel great when you quit, because you're on a new high. You're on this new trip of like, I can live without that, I'm good. But then it starts setting in again, and it takes time. You know, that's the most important thing that people need to realize, is that it's not going to happen in a week. You know,
no,
you're not gonna be like, I'm going to feel great next week. It's just not the way it goes. You know,
no, you almost have to, I would say, if you drank for 6 years, it'll take you 3 years. It's almost like half. You know what I mean? It's just about, maybe it's like 1/4 or something, but it's a lot of fucking time. And the other real evil little fucker that pops up is, I was sober for so long at that one time in my life, for probably 2 years, and I'd been sober so long that I forgot why I got sober. So then I drank, and then I just spiraled back down, because you just forget. So I think that's why people who are really truly addicts or alcoholics, you need to fucking, I think that's why people go to AA or NA or whatever, Al-Anon, every day, is you need to remember, because your addiction will be like, well, it was like Bill W. in the documentary said, like, you know, I was sober, I had this great job, I had to do this presentation in the morning, and there's these guys offering me like some Applejack whiskey type of thing. He's like, no, I don't drink, and I don't drink. And he said about 4 hours later, his brain was like, well, you don't really drink, but you've never tasted this. Like, you should just try it. Like, you don't really drink, you can just taste this and just try it out. And it was completely logical to him. And then he said he tasted it, and then he was drunk in a hotel for 3 days and lost his job. But you can see how his rationalization of that was super innocent and almost kind of makes sense. Like, well, you don't really drink anymore, but you can just take a taste. And that's exactly what it's like. The stronger you get in your, you know, abstinence from these chemicals, almost the more prone you are to going back, because you're so healthy and you think, I got this, you know?
It's like when people lose weight. They lose a bunch of weight and they're like, oh, I can eat a whole pizza now, you know?
That's like, that's a perfect analogy, because you're like, fuck, I'm fucking skinny, dude. I can eat a pizza.
100%.
Hey, I have to pee really bad. Can I pee?
Please.
You know what I think would be kind of funny is if people, it's probably usually just me who does it, but people pee during the podcast. If you put like a little like a little intermission, like a bathroom guy door thing, and played like jazz.
Yeah.
Like a little
funny thing is I always leave it in, not like the time you're gone.
Yeah.
But I always leave that in because it's hard for me sometimes to find like a continuing, you know, like continuity wise. So I just leave it because I think it's funny.
You know what else would be funny is if you just add in like a little video of like a stream.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely gonna do it now. I'm definitely doing it on this one.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
Is there anything else that you want me to cut out? Like, was the drug and alcohol stuff pretty copacetic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Everybody's done drugs.
I think it's good, man. I think it's, you know, I don't know if I'm changing lives or anything, but even if one person heard some of it and thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I can try that, you know, then that's cool with me.
I mean, we're talking about how it's fucked up. We're not like, I'm not like, man, it's amazing. Right. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
Like, hey kids, you want to be able to write songs? You got to do a line first. God, dude, I probably said that on one of our podcasts, so who knows? Let's put it this way. Like, if I wasn't an alcoholic, I'd probably be a millionaire. That's just a fact. Because, like, for example, like the Billy Strings show, I got super fucking wasted, right? If I hadn't gotten wasted, I was supposed to play a bunch more shows with them, like in like the winter, like holiday shows. I'd probably play his festival again, and that paid a shitload of money. So by being drunk, really, really drunk, that one for 30 minutes, I probably cost myself $25,000 or more.
Right.
So yeah, and let's say you add up those drunken fuck ups. Yeah, it would easily fucking, I mean, the things that I've fucked up is there, it's almost shocking. Right. Because of drinking. I just think I'm not really a terribly responsible person, and I'm kind of emotional and like fatalistic, and I'm like, it's all for the work, and that, so I'm not like really running things in a responsible way. I fuck everything up. But I don't fuck it up like just enough. Right. But and that's like, that's what's frustrating about it. But like, I'm curious what would happen if I was really, you know, responsible and kind and not erratic and sober for years. I wonder what would happen with my career. Right. So I might try that, you know, hopefully I can.
I would love to see that, man. And you know what? I think that, because that's kind of the point I was getting at, is like, I love your music, you know, and obviously you have a fan base that people love it. And it's like, what's the difference? What's the difference between you and, let's say, you know, Dashboard Confessional or something like that? Like,
right.
I mean, weird reference, but
no,
like,
I hear you.
I don't like him, but he's huge and he's a millionaire. And like, I think you're a million times better. And, you know,
it's because he's not a drunk psychopath.
As you know, like last month, I lost my mom.
Right.
You know, that was a huge pivotal moment, really, for me, because she was my best friend. You know, like she was my mom. You know, we were very close, even when I was younger. You know, like I had my period, like, you know, my teenage years and whatever, where I could have been a punk or whatever, but like for the most part, we really always got along, and we got closer as I got older. Yeah. And it's like, I know some people who have their parents still, and they're like in their 60s, you know, and I don't think there's a right age. I'm not saying that to like lose a mom, you know, and people lose their mothers or parents much younger than where I am at, you know, but it's just like, it's weird. I didn't picture it. Like, you can't plan any of this, but I didn't picture it at 40 years old. For some reason, I mean, she died at 76, but for some reason, I thought she was gonna like make it to her 90s. I don't know why, you know.
Yeah.
I just maybe it's this like immortality kind of aspect to it, like where I think because she's such a big figure in my life that she can't go anytime soon, you know. And
Almost
just
like you thought you would probably die before she would, probably.
yeah, in a way. I mean, I know it probably wouldn't happen, but like, yeah, I mean, there were definitely times, especially in like my 20s and shit, where like, you know, I'm gonna be dead if I keep doing what I'm doing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just this the at the speed that it happened, and you know, she was sick for a long time, so it wasn't totally unexpected, but it kind of was because it was like 1 week she was good, the next week she wasn't, you know.
Hmm.
So now she had cancer for 15 years, and she never went into remission, so it wasn't like um you know, she wasn't fighting. She maintained it. She kept it at bay, you know.
Right.
Um, but I got the thing I have to take from this whole thing is that when I heard she was sick 15 years ago, I could have not had those 15 years. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? As fast as this was, and as devastating as it was to all of us, like my father's been with her for almost 60 years. They've been married for 52.
Wow.
Like they knew each other before he went to Vietnam, like teenagers, you know.
That's wild.
So
Beautiful.
he's walking around like a fucking lost soul. He has no idea what to do. You know,
Hmm.
and of course, obviously, you know, we all live close to him, so it's easy to be there for him physically, but mentally, I don't know. You know, it's he's really lost. You know, so I got to keep myself together for him too.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah, that is
I,
hard.
yeah, yeah, and I know what she would want. She would want me to continue living life, not I've never been the type to like crawl into a hole or like
Yeah.
curl up in a ball in a corner. It's just not me, you know. I'm not saying I'm some big tough guy or anything, but I just deal with things differently. I like I just try to face things, you know. I think when I was younger I tried to sweep everything under the rug, and
Hmm.
now it's just like reality's here. This is what happened, and then deal with it. I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but like um it's once I start talking about it, my brain goes like scatterbrained because it's so new.
Yeah.
You know, the holidays are coming up. She loved the holidays, you know, so it was like I
Yeah.
know that's in the back of my mind, like this is gonna be weird, you know. That's the only thing when people ask me how I'm doing, I'm like weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's the strangest thing about death, like in the early stages, is that it feels almost like psychedelic. You can't understand it. You're like,
Yeah,
what do you mean, like dead? Like, where are they?
yeah,
Like I'll never see him ever again. Like, but wait, like it feels like just weird, like so extremely weird. And I think the main thing though that you really will probably start to realize is you just go, I just beyond all this, like, you know, whatever, like where like my entire world is like melted down and I don't know, you know, my ass from my elbows, etc. Is that you go like I just miss the person.
yeah,
That's and that's kind of what you're left with, which is like I think like a beautiful place to land is just because it's okay, you know, like yeah, eventually, you know, it'll be Christmas and you can just say confidently and out loud to your wife, like, I'm, you know, I miss mom.
yeah,
She'd be like, me too. Your dad will say, me too. You know, we miss her. Like, all right, like, open the present then. Like, we're,
right.
you know, I think that's kind of where, I mean, that's really what where the real pain is. But it is like shrouded with all of that bizarre mystery because I truly think as humans, that is the one thing that we don't understand.
Yeah,
That's like the quest of everybody. I mean, it's just never it's because it's a door that once you cross, you're in there and you can't come back to tell anybody. I
right.
mean, people say you can, but then you have scientists arguing, well, the brain just is, you know, essentially lighting off fucking DMT fireworks, and you're coming back saying you saw this, and it's I mean, we know more about fucking space than we do death.
Yeah.
You know, and what we do
It's
know of death on a scientific level, what we do know of death is that it is just this just shuts off.
mhm.
But that's not something that anyone really wants to know about. And there's just, you know, since the dawn of literature and thinking and ceremonies and tribes and stuff, it's going against that narrative. It's like, what the fuck is out there? So that's the weirdest part about death, is you're hit with like the greatest question of humankind.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
It is.
You know?
It's so true. It's like, it's the one guarantee in life, right? Is death. It's like the only thing guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, we know nothing about it. Like I started thinking about this a lot more lately, because I'm like, all right, so she's not here physically, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I can, but she's always gonna be here with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But will I ever see her again? Is that a thing? Does the afterlife exist? Like, nobody fucking knows, because no one has come back to life. And
Yeah.
if they have, then they're like zombies, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
where the zombie thing came from, is that you're just a brainless, soulless flesh eater. And
Yeah.
you have no feelings or thoughts or anything like that. So I'm getting off topic here, but yeah.
No, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I think of that too, is that like our everything based on what scares us is just us. It's like a zombie is just you, but dead. Or like on Halloween, like a skeleton, and it's like, motherfucker, that's what you are. That's just
That's
you.
all you are. Yeah.
And it's like, it's just pretty bizarre the way that we view death in that way. We're like, oh, spooky.
Yeah. Right.
Like, he's dead, but he's walking around, and it's like why is that scary? I think it's just because it's, you know, on like a primal level, it's just unnatural, you know. But
Right.
like, I don't think that there is an afterlife in the way that it's described biblically. Um, like, most likely not.
Mhm.
Just in my opinion, only
Right.
because all those stories in there that, you know, date back like, you know, earliest forms of Bibles or whatever you want to even call them. They are so like metaphorical, you know. So, you know, if they talk about, you know, sitting in clouds with everyone you love, it's like you're not really sitting on a cloud. Like, you
Right.
can't, like, a cloud can't physically hold anything, you know. So
Right.
it's like, I think, you know, I just think about like what Alan Watts said. He's like, you're not born into the earth, you're born of the earth. Like,
Mhm.
like you know, we are. I mean, when I was listening, I think at one point there used to be two moons, and they
Mhm.
like a planet like collided with Earth, and it's just insane that, you know, we just kind of come out of this, and then you die and you go back in. So in a sense, you don't really die, you just kind of cycle through something,
Right.
and the the energy of you goes nowhere. You can't get rid of it. So I think that that might be the afterlife, is just kind of going back into it. You know, it's
Energy. Yeah.
and like, what a, you know, cliche thing, but like if you were to agree, it's like, you know, you were dead for eternity before being born.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, where were you? You were
Yeah. I know, man.
here because you are made of your mother and your father. So you
Mhm.
were there in them. And that goes all the way back to the first human.
Right.
And then what was before the first human? What was that? What created that? Then you go all the way back to the creation of the fucking universe. It's like we're all here all the time, and we're all the one thing.
Right.
So in a sense, that should give people some fucking peace of mind when they lose a loved one. It's like, no, they just like it's they just went back into the mix, just into the
Right.
fucking mix.
Well,
You know?
do you believe in reincarnation?
Mm, yeah, only because it's impossible that it isn't real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, it's just, it is what it is, man. I mean, it's like, let's say like a fucking, you know, a bird eats a plant and goes and shits it and it grows, and then someone cuts it, turns it into paper, someone writes a book,
Right.
the person dies, some kid buys the book,
Right.
you know what I mean? He has a pet bird. It's like, it is,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible. I would say that it's kind of improbable for me to think that you would have like linear quest or something to where like you could say like, oh yeah, like 3 lives ago I was doing this, and like I still carry that wisdom, and
Mhm.
like, and like a lot of people think that. And I mean my grandmother put me under and like read one of my past lives, but like who knows if that's some type of hypnosis or
Mhm.
what. If I was building a memory out of like different things I've seen on television and stuff like that, that's probable. It's not as romantic, but it's probable.
Yeah.
um but I think, I don't know. I don't know that, like, let's say you die tomorrow, please don't,
Right.
that then there's a baby born. But then when the baby's around 11, the baby's gonna go, I think I used to do a podcast on Long
Yeah.
Island. Like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Right. No,
There,
there's
but there could
no,
be a bit of your energy.
yeah. I mean, you and I could have had past lives, absolutely. But there's no consciousness of it, I don't think. I don't think that's, I mean, I'm sure there's people who claim that there is, but there's also people who claim that they've been abducted by aliens, which I believe in as well. But it's
Yeah.
like take what you want out of things, Um,
Well, let's put it this way. Um, Sometimes you just have to, like, you know, think about things extremely non-romantically and logically. Like say you just said, I don't think that, it carries with you. So I could ask you, Mike, do you remember your past life? What is your answer?
right. No.
Do I remember mine? No.
Right.
So it's like, that's kind of, if you were to ask every human being walking around,
Right.
most of them are going to say, no. It's like,
Yeah.
do you know what happens when we die? No. Do you remember your past life? No. Have you ever
Right.
seen an alien? No. You ever seen Bigfoot? No. Like, it starts to get pretty depressing.
Yeah.
Every then you'll meet some fucking guy who's like, oh, I was Bigfoot in a past life.
Right.
You go, okay, this guy's
Yeah.
out of
But
it.
what's crazy is, all right, so we automatically, because 99% of people have said, no, I haven't seen Bigfoot. No, I don't know my past life.
Mm-hmm.
But then the one guy comes along and we automatically, not we, but like people in general automatically mark him as crazy. Maybe
Yeah.
he's not. Maybe he actually fucking knows. Maybe he's one of, and we're just disregarding it as like, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
You never know. That's the craziest thing about life, is that you really have no fucking idea what's really going on ever.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's like there's a weird human condition where you get really used to things, and you're like always looking for something like weirder. And I think that that's just how we are. Like, we're just like this bizarre, like, seeking thing. And that's what makes humans so beautiful, is just like, we want to like create and destroy and innovate and like find answers and stuff. But then, people are like worrying about aliens, and there's fucking things under the ocean that they can land on it and turn into it. Like, you know what I mean? Like fish that like land on
right.
a rock and turn into a rock. I'm like, that's a fucking alien.
Yeah.
That's an alien. And like, fact that we're on a fucking rock in an infinite galaxy just floating around, like,
Yeah.
that's not weird right now.
Yeah.
I remember talking to this dude, a Buddhist. What the heck is his name? Gosh, I can't remember his name, but he's a part of the Dharma punks. No, Noah knows him, but he does it out in New York.
Yeah.
His name's Josh something, but he was saying one time that he likes to ride his bike across this bridge in Brooklyn, because he said that one day he won't be able to. And I thought that was so cool.
Right.
Like, and another friend of mine, Christina, she's in like a lot of like spiritual programs and stuff. And I was having some hard times recently, and I was like, I gotta go. I gotta do the fucking dishes. And she's like, you get to do the dishes.
Right.
And I was like, that's so cool. Like this perspective shifts, because
Yes.
I mean, you're going to be fucking dead one day and you would love to do dishes.
Right.
It's just water and soap and dishes.
Right.
You get to do them.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Anything that like we normally complain about in our regular everyday lives, the moment I think you're in, or all right, so the moment you feel like you may be in some kind of danger, or that you fucked up, or you did something wrong, you would instantly want to go back to that thing that you were complaining about. You know what I mean? You would be like, oh, fucking yeah, I'll go water the plants, you know, like I would do that any day over what I'm doing that right now. You know?
Yeah, it's really true. I think like I remember, I mean, not to get too personal, but my wife and I had like a real like big blowout fight, right after Moody was born, because the baby was just crying nonstop and the house was like an insane asylum,
Mm-hmm.
And she left to go to her parents to stay there for a while just because it was so just fucking tense, and and she just wanted like her mother and her sister, and this is like a common thing. And I was the freaked out father, because a baby's cry like sends off receptors primally that psyched me out or whatever. But as soon as they were gone, I was like, I would kill to hear a baby crying,
Exactly.
And that was like a big wake up call. And now everything's fine. Now everything's really, really good. But it was almost like good that happened. Like you need like a harsh reality, because now, like, I just saw him yesterday, and Moody was like screaming, and I could see that, Maxine was kind of getting frustrated, and I just grabbed Moody and I just like walked her around the neighborhood, and I just had this real like patience, just because I know what it's like for that to not be around. And it just like it was like almost like a permanent shift of perspective. And I think that's kind of important. I wouldn't say like, subject yourself to suffering so what real suffering is or anything like that. But if that does happen to you, I think the most important thing is to like, learn from it or something. That's what you have to do. Like, let's say you're having like a terrible argument with a friend or something, and fucking, you block this number, or you've had a fight or something, and then your friend dies.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I wish I could talk to him or something. But the most important thing is that you carry that lesson with you. So the next time you have a disagreement with a friend, you acknowledge the fact that one day your friend will die, or you'll die.
Right.
And who knows who's going to die first. Just to remember that and go, remember that time, I didn't send my grandfather a thank you card for a birthday. So you learn, and you go, now I'm going to act like differently, so you don't live a life of fucking like regret. And that's the most important, is just to fucking learn from everything bad. And that's like I said, that's a perspective shift. It's like you get to do the dishes, and when bad shit happens, you almost say like to whatever your higher power, whatever you believe in, say like, thank you for the opportunity to learn.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree with that. And it's like the older you get, the more you learn, because the more mistakes you make. Like I think that's the thing. I think people, I'm not going to say everybody, but I think most people strive for this perfection, but I don't think that exists. I don't think that exists at all. Like, I think that by the time like you figure everything out, you're perfect, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you have to, like, when people, just on relationships, when people say they don't fight, that's not good. Like, I don't trust you as a person if you don't fight with other people. You have to fight. Like, I'm not saying be a fucking maniac, but like, if you're not fighting with your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, ever, there's something wrong. One of you guys is hiding a lot.
Yeah, that just means that you're getting your tension out on like your fucking secretary or something. You're fucking someone else, or she's seeking solace through another man on like a Facebook fucking message board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely a danger sign. Um, what you were saying about it is like no perfect human and perfection and all that. I totally agree with that. I heard someone say something that um like the only truth like is like God is the only one who knows truth. And my perception of truth changes daily, you know, like and that's like a daily practice to like try to find truth, and that's consistency. Yet consistency is not what I'm after. I'm after truth.
Right.
And that's like really crazy. And I think that's why someone told me recently, I I didn't know I had to do some stuff that made me nervous, or conversations, and she said, just as crazy as it sounds, just like close your eyes and picture like like a higher power or a god or a guardian angel or something, like this, like the force of creation, like the main buzz of everything. Like just think of that and ask that to speak through you, because the human mind, you're going to come up with all sorts of things like resentment, jealousy, fear. Like you're going to just run through the list of fucking like horrible attributes. But if you truly just make like not an attempt, it's almost like a letting go, you know,
Right.
like just like, you know, like let go, let God. Like I'm not trying to like get all fucking, you know,
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
spiritual or preachy or and this has nothing to do with any sort of, you know, specific religion, but just to have faith in the fact that you are like one of like the great creation, and just like sort of let go and just like let that whole thing like come through you, and you'd be surprised how much more calm you are, and how you know you're way more accepting, and you say things that you actually mean, not like they said this, so I've been programmed to react this way because I'm scared or I'm hurt or I want the upper hand or I want to be heard. Just just be and just speak with love. And it's like it's great, man. I love shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's I mean it's probably because I'm like not fucking poisoning myself with fucking drugs and alcohol, but like um there's all these like beautiful methods for appreciating the time you have on earth and your relationships and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, not being okay with not being in charge, you know, like having faith in something
Yeah. Yeah.
bigger.
No, you know, that I've been really in tune with that a lot lately. It like I used to, even when I first came on here and I was like, this was like a new setup, I was like nervous about it, you know, like fucking why? I'm just in a different room. You know,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. But I like that part of me kicks in where I'm like, just fuck it. Just fuck it. Just let it go. Let it be, you know? And that's really
Yeah.
important.